All right, welcome back at 9:14. A beautiful beach weekend to kick off the unofficial start of summer. Crowds flock to Coney Island Beach and Luna Park to enjoy the beautiful sunshine. But this summer, there's going to be something new to experience at Coney Island.
Joining us this morning to give us the details and talk about that and more is Brooklyn Borough President Coney Reynoso. Great to have you here, Borough President.
Yes.
Always happy to be here.
I don't think I was here the last time you were physically here, so it's great to have you on the couch, because I always say you never come in. Always on a Zoom, but here we go.
He's in the building.
So we do have to cover a few topics before we actually get to the fun stuff as well. So I want to talk about this fatal police-involved shooting that took place in Bushwick early Sunday morning. It involved an emotionally disturbed person. We heard from Chief Shell earlier. What else can you tell us about that incident?
It's an unfortunate incident, obviously, but just it further reinforces a need to keep the NYPD from being the primary and the sole representative in these type of situations. They're just, at this point, it doesn't feel like they're trained or can handle the situation in a way that is non-lethal.
It's the second time this month.
Yes, and it's just two people. One of them had no, even regardless of the weapon or what's in place, you just have to feel that in the NYPD and their training and all the work that we do, the equipment that they have to be able to stop this situation from happening in a way where they don't kill someone, especially an emotionally disturbed person. I mean, it just doesn't feel like they have the training right now. So a discussion needs to be had, and this is not against the police in any way, shape, or form, but let's talk about it. We can't just defer or relegate ourselves to killing emotionally disturbed people in the city of New York.
Right. These illegal smoke shops across the board, a huge problem. Just last week, the NYPD and the Sheriff's Office, they confiscated millions of dollars worth of cannabis from a warehouse in downtown Brooklyn. Do we know where this cannabis came from and any information on who could have been distributing it?
No, so we don't have a lot of information. It was actually a tip for something else, and the NYPD or the sheriffs ended up bumping into it. And then we're talking about a lot of money here, and it's just the entire rollout of the cannabis work has just been really difficult. We're the people that were supposed to take advantage of it, and you know the social justice work that we were supposed to do through this just hasn't produced what we expected it to.
Yeah.
And then we see the illegal weed shops and how fruitful they are, and how it is a cost of doing business. Even if they lose $1 million or a million pounds of weed, doesn't matter, because the amount of money they're making off of the illegal weed shops and just the mass distribution compensates for that.
Is there any insight into how big this network is? Is it responsible for other smokehouses throughout Brooklyn?
It is. So it seems like these smokehouses are all like conglomerates.
Yeah.
It's not just one. They all have all different names. It'll be three. It's just like the way we have our foods and our beer. It's like three mass producers of all of this. It seems like there's diversity, but there isn't. So yeah, we don't know exactly what that warehouse specifically was, who they were distributing to. But what we do know is that these illegal smoke shops are all like conglomerates. They're not individual mom and pop stores or anything like that. They're just a bunch of people doing a cash grab and trying to get through it before regulation hits.
Well, the good news is that with the new rules in place now, that they can track an individual. So if they shut down a shop, right, that they can't just go down a few doors to an empty vacant place and then reopen.
Yeah, we did a little better. The legislation that was passed by the state gave us a little more power and a little more authority to really shut these things down. But it's not enough. They're out of control. And this is not, you know, I'm not a big person on enforcement, but in this one case where we finally did it right and we're gonna bring justice to all this work because of the drug era, it didn't happen and it's not happening. And I'm glad I think the mayor said with the legislation that was put forth that in 3 months, he's gonna have them all shut down. So I'm excited. Look, it might not take 3 months, that's an aggressive number, but the fact that he's on a path to do it is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. Let's talk about also bike lane safety. This is big, you know, and it's really interesting conversation around bike lanes. Some people are super for it, and there's other people who are super against it. But there was another cyclist killed. This one was on 4th Avenue. So what do you say to those who are either for or against the bike lanes? Where do you fall on the issue?
Yeah, so this city, we can't be a city whose primary means of movement is vehicular traffic.
Yeah.
We're just too large, and we don't have more streets, but we're getting more people. So we have to think of alternatives to how we move around in the city. The subway, the bus, cycling, and walking are the alternatives that we can use, and also the ferry service that we're using. And we're trying to expand on all of those. And I tell people, think of a bike more akin to walking and a pedestrian than it is to a vehicle. And I think when you say that, people understand it slightly better. But also just the infrastructure needs to be built out. if there were no sidewalks, people would be walking in the street in the way of vehicles, and the vehicles would be upset. But we have sidewalks. So it's just time. When the infrastructure gets set up and we have a master plan and it all makes sense, you'll start seeing culture change around cycling in the cases where people feel they're going too
there's
fast.
the protected bike lane. But then there's also this, some folks are saying that the cyclists, and not putting blame on cyclists, we'll say that, are not riding in the bike lanes or are breaking the rules themselves by riding in streets or against traffic.
Yeah, I think it's a culture thing. It just takes time, and it will. Eventually, people will start following rules. Enforcement will get better. Design and infrastructure will get better. Just think about before the car was invented, cars were running into horses, and it's just like, we'll get this right. We need time. We need the infrastructure, the design, and then the enforcement. And right now, the infrastructure is not there. I would say that this is actually the slowest administration when it comes to building out protected bike lanes, and we can do better. Once we have it, then there are no excuses, but we don't necessarily have it everywhere.
Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff,
Yeah.
especially coming off of a holiday weekend, Coney Island.
Yes.
They're rolling out a fun lineup. Tell us about it.
So we're doing a ton in Coney Island.
Yeah.
It's the best beach in New York. I know a lot of people are going to say there are other ones, but it absolutely is. It's the only beach where you can go. Is nonstop food. Unlike Far Rockaway, let's say, who I got a lot of love for out in Queens. It's nonstop food, and then you can stop and get on a cyclone, get on the Wonder Wheel. These are only things you can do in Brooklyn. It is the best place to go with your family. It is family friendly, so please
Call
go.
Donovan Richards and see what he has to say.
But now we also have movies that we're putting on the park. They're going to be a ton of fun, so that mostly kids can go. This time I want to say the movie is not kid friendly. It's The Warriors. But it's very Coney Island centric. So I think they're going to have a great time. And it's just, again, it's just the joy of being the season starting and the beauty of Coney Island. So I'm really excited.
And you teamed up with Broadway star Anthony Ramos for some fun projects as well.
Yes.
He's got a great voice, by the way.
Absolutely amazing.
Unbelievable.
And it's what he loves, is singing over acting over anything. He just loves music. We are doing service. We're not doing celebrations anymore the way we used to. We just felt very uncomfortable that we're throwing parties and people are eating and drinking and having a good time, and there's crisis all over New York City. So we wanted to move away from celebrations only. So we talked to Anthony Ramos, who we wanted to give a proclamation to for the work that he did and the fact that he's from Bushwick and celebrate a Brooklyn kid. But we wanted to do it through service. So we worked together and we're able to get $40,000 for an after-school programming for acting for those kids in the Bushwick High School that he took advantage of when he was a younger kid. So it's pretty awesome.
Great way to inspire the community and get the community together. Bronx Borough President Antonio Reynoso. So great to have you in the studio. Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
I know you had a cookout yesterday. Her and I had this fierce debate earlier. She puts ketchup on hot dogs. Just curious where you stand on the issue. What goes on a hot dog?
Ketchup definitely goes on a hot dog.
Thank you.
I don't even know where to stop that conversation.
The Brooklyn Borough President has spoken.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I'm going to call Nathan and see what Nathan has to say about it.
Well, the long-term friendship couldn't save you.
Go down to Times Square and stand by the giant hot dog and rally for your sauerkraut and mustard on a hot dog.